John, I was sitting with my wife last night in front of the fire, and I want to relay, because you're a new parent. So, and this story with the Niners reminds me of last night. So I want to start the show, John, here. I was sitting with my wife, and we're having, cocktail in front of the fire. We have 6 kids between us. And I made the analogy to my wife. We had a little thing going on. I said, honey, you and I are firefighters. And occasionally one of our 6 kids becomes an arsonist. They're just starting fires. Sometimes the key is you don't have 2 or 3 arsonists at the same time. So you've got to really, when you have issues, parenting's not about when your kids are eating their vegetables and everybody's getting good grades and playing nice. That's not parenting. That's like babysitting. That's easy. Parenting is crisis. What happens when there's fire starters? What happens? You got to come in. You're the firefighter. You're putting that puppy out. And that's a little bit like being a quarterback in the NFL. Everybody's good with a stacked roster. What happens? Ask Jalen Hurts. You lose your top offensive coordinator and receiver gets hurt. Oh, that's real quarterback play. That's real quarterback play. Tip of the cap to Justin Herbert making the playoffs last year. That number 1 first-round pick, or that first-round pick receiver, Quentin Johnson, can't catch. His rookie slot was his only legitimate, dependable wide receiver, and he made the playoffs. That's quarterbacking. So the Niners this preseason are a mess. Demarcus Robinson suspended 3 games. They went and got Sky Moore yesterday. Andy Reid bailed on him. Probably not going to work. Russell Gage, who is being counted on to help for the injured receivers, he's now hurt. He's out for a couple of weeks. And since 2018, with the exception of 1 year, and I don't have an explanation for it, the Niners have been top 10 in injuries. A couple years, they've been number 1. You can only wear pads so many days. You can only practice so many days. I don't know what it is, but I know this. That's the separator. Patrick Mahomes won 2 Super Bowls, and the wide receiver situation was a mess. Whiffs, suspensions, drops. I think for a couple of years, Kansas City led the NFL in drops as Mahomes was winning Super Bowls. By the way, C.J. Stroud last year. Stephon Diggs out for the year. Tank Dell hurt. Nico Collins hurt. At one point, he's like working with a left tackle having a bad season, and his number 3, 4, and 5 wide receivers are his 1, 2, and 3 receivers, and he won a playoff game. And Josh Allen won the MVP. His number 1 wide receiver is a slot guy from Boise State. That's quarterbacking. It's like parenting. Parenting is when stuff gets messy. That's real parenting. All right? Parenting's not everybody's eating their beans and getting A's, and you're not helping with homework. That's not parenting. So I don't want to hear any excuses for Brock Purdy, because to me, this is the separation. The separation in this league is, your O-line lost your center and right tackle. Michael Penix, right now in Atlanta. They traded Drew Dalman signed with the Bears, a great center, and now they have 2 other offensive linemen hurt. Michael Penix, this is not Washington, where you had one of the top 10 O-lines and a great coach. Now you got a defensive coach, and your O-line's fallen apart. In camp, that is quarterback play for Michael Penix. And this is quarterback play for Brock Purdy. Nobody's healthy at wide receiver. Debo leaves. Ayuk's not there yet. The guy you brought in to replace, at least for the time being, your injured guy, he just got hurt. Kyle Shanahan addresses the mess at wide receiver right now for the Niners.
It's pretty tough. I promise you guys, if it's a challenge for the fans, I promise you guys it's a bigger challenge for me just dealing with all this. But, we haven't had the best luck this year, down probably more guys than we've had. It's a tough situation. You got to keep practicing because we got to improve. We got to be ready for the season. We got to continue to get better for the season. But it does make that a huge challenge with the number of guys we've had down.
Now, I said last year, stacked roster, Brock Purdy's getting you to conference championships. Last year, beat up old brittle roster, a lot of guys hurt, 1-6 against playoff teams. So the schedule's easier. Kittle and McCaffrey are back. San Francisco is going to be better. They're not going to be 1-6 against playoff teams, but this is quarterback play in the NFL. Brock Purdy went to Iowa State. That prepared him for the NFL. Pass rush, second best roster, not always the best coach. So this, Michael Penix and Brock Purdy already, between camp and preseason, up against it. Real injury issues. And that schedule at Seattle for the Niners. Arizona plays them tough. Jags, Rams, Bucks. Golf has a winner-takes-all decider, and it's happening this weekend at St. John's Resort in beautiful Michigan. The Live Golf Team Championship is absolutely on the line. 12 international squads battling to settle the entire season in one weekend of Survive at Advanced Golf. It's a lot of fun. The teams represent 6 continents, include no fewer than 14 major championships. It's a global event. Notable players include Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, Spain's John Rahm, Australia's Cam Smith. Fans also get a chance to enjoy the biggest party of the Live Golf season. It will be the biggest party, with 2 iconic acts dropping in to headline the post-round shows. Imagine Dragons. Yep, Imagine Dragons going to play Saturday right after golf before Swedish House Mafia close out the weekend Sunday at 7 p.m. It is a great time at St. John's Resort, one of America's boldest new resorts, built on the site of the old Catholic seminary. St. John's spans 24,000 square feet. It's won the AAA 4 Diamond Award, big time course. Okay, I got to talk about this yesterday. I got a text from a couple of front office people yesterday. The Broncos, Sean Payton made a deal. You know how Trump wrote that book, Art of the Deal? This was Art of the Steal. The Saints are delusional. They don't realize they're in a rebuild. A year ago, Sean Payton drafted an old receiver out of Utah. He entered the NFL at 26 years old. Entered the NFL at 26 years old. He's now 27. He'll be 28 in the season. They drafted him in the 7th round, and they traded him yesterday. They flipped him for a 4th and a 7th round pick, and the Saints are going to be bad, so that's going to be top of the 4th and top of the 7th. Art of the steal. The kid's played 1 year in the NFL. He's already older than CeeDee Lamb. So he's probably got 2 to 3 years of prime left. And Sean Payton knew it. And this is what great offensive coaching does. You find insane value later in the draft. You make it immediately productive within your system. And then you sign it like a Brock Purdy, or you flip it. So they're going to get a top of the 4th and a top of a 7th round pick for a receiver that'll be 28 by December. And he knew next year when he turns 29 in a season, you're not going to get the value for him. People are going to go, well, he's a year away from his prime. So Sean knew this is the time to move off him. You know, it's really smart. So it's that Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, sell me this pen. That's what it feels like. And it's amazing the Saints got work because they had Sean Payton in the building for 15 years, and they still got worked. But it's a great example. Offensive coaches find value late. Niners have done it a couple times with Shanahan. Find value late, make it immediately productive, and either sign them early to a good deal, get them signed because you got them for free for 4 years, or flip them early at the top. And in Carolina, by the way, Carolina has a really sharp young GM, a former player, Dan Morgan. Carolina did this last year, where they got a 4th round pick from the Cowboys for Jonathan Mingo, who's like a number 3 or 4 receiver in the league. They got a 4th round pick. He's hurt. He's on the IR, and he had 5 catches for the Cowboys last year. So in every business, in every single business, the smart guys, the haves, are working the distracted and the delusional. The Saints are delusional. They're in a rebuild. What are you doing? The Sharks eat the minnows. The Hammers meet the nails. And that's a great example. You wonder in yourself, how has Sean Payton made this roster? How has he made this offensive line number 2, according to PFF, in like 2 years? It was mediocre, bottom third of the league. It's this kind of stuff. Just knowing offensive personnel. Look what he's done to that receiving corps and that offensive line. The reason they can move off Devaughn Vele, the reason they can move off him, talented kid, by the way, the reason they can move off him, because they've drafted and developed and hit on wide receiver talent. So it's just a little deal, but Sean knows the Saints aren't going to be good. The kid's going to be 27, 28 years old in season. In 1 year, I probably can't move him. His age will become a real topic. And they get 2 good picks. Hammer meeting the nail. That is and Mark Schlereth was on our show. It was either yesterday or the day before, talking about how Sean Payton has just changed the Denver culture.
The difference between last year and this year was last year we hoped we could win. This year we know we can win. And one of the big moves we made, even if it was a popular player, we got rid of popular players that weren't the right guys. Guys that want to be here, guys that want to contribute, guys that want to work hard, guys that want to sacrifice for one another. That's how we're building this roster.
Yeah, I thought that was when people reach out to me in the league and they're like, whoa. It's like uninitiated. I didn't, I responded, but I didn't send it out. And I was actually distracted and my phone lights up and it's like, yeah, I mean, that's just Sean doing Sean stuff. And we've talked about this before. I don't have the stats in front of me, but the late, great Tony Gwynn is one of the best pure hitters I've ever seen in baseball. But, he wasn't hitting Oral Hershiser in Oral's prime. Nobody was. You got to get those hits off the number 3 and 4 starter, the average middle reliever, the average setup guy. In almost every business I've ever been a part of is you got to take advantage of the people that are delusional and distracted and don't put in the prep or the work. That you're not working the best people. You're not taking advantage of great. You've got to find people that are not paying attention or have a higher belief in reality. And that New Orleans makes that move. Like, that's the kind of move that can win games now and get us into the playoffs. That's not where New Orleans is. They're in a rebuild. It's not where they're at.